Here at EGX, we love games. We love talking about them, we love playing them, we love showcasing them. So we decided to put all three of those things together in this video to showcase an upcoming game called Warborn, a tactical strategy by Rare Drop Games. Me and Meg from the EGX team, who you can see right here, there she is, we decided to sit down with the CEO of Rare Drop Games to talk more about Warborn.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm the CEO of Red Drop Games, and I'm here talking about my new strategy and tactics game, Warborn. Warborn is a turn-based tactics game inspired by anime mecha, so kind of stuff from the 90s, like things from the Gundam franchise were really instrumental in the art style, and there's some sort of homage to things like Advance Wars in there as well, some of the classic kind of tactics games. These turn-based games, and I wanted to kind of fuse that with this anime aesthetic, and so that's how Warborn came about.
Warborn, it's all about the variable armor. Like, I've seen that all over the website, all over the trailers and everything. Can you tell us more about the variable armor and like the part it plays in Warborn?
So the variable armor are the units that you're moving around the map, and they're basically huge mechanized humanoid machines that people have developed as a new means of warfare. And so there are a whole variety of different types that are specialized for certain roles in combat. You've got ones that are more specialized in things like electronic warfare or like sabotage or sort of scouting. And so the different varieties, you're kind of figuring out the best way to use them in the missions in Warborn. And part of it is figuring out the roles they play and how best to use them.
So I was going to say, in the game there's 4 different commanders. Can you tell us a little bit about their personalities?
Yeah, they're quite different. So the 4 commanders sort of each represent the factions, and they vary. So Luella is the first commander you encounter, because she's the protagonist of the first part of the campaign, and she's young and she's enthusiastic, and she's kind of I guess she's trying to find her way. She's got a father figure in Sam, who's the commander of the faction that she's working with, but she's lost her parents, and so she's a little bit lost in life and trying to figure out her way in the world. And at the same time, she has this condition that enhances her piloting abilities, so she's an incredible pilot, but there are some drawbacks to that, and you find out a bit more about that in the campaign. And then the other 3, so then you've got Vincent, who he's kind of a bit sure of himself, and he's confident, he's a war hero, and you encounter him a bit later on in the campaign and his story. And he's all about kind of protecting his homeland. And then you've got Oriel, she's very kind of diligent. She's business-like. She's working with her father on the family business, and she's head of security, so she's looking out for their interests. And then finally you've got Isel, and Isel is a bit of a difficult one because he's working for a regime that I think a lot of people might think is a bit questionable, a bit evil, and he's sort of doing his best, but I think sometimes he knows that what he's doing is wrong, and he sort of adds like an interesting kind of grey area to the game.
Mm-hmm. So they're 4 very different and cool characters. Who would you say is your favourite?
Oh, that's difficult. I quite like Vincent. I quite like his personality. I like his music as well. The themes that go with him, I think, really represent the way he acts and his personality in general.
That actually leads us nicely on to the next question. The soundtrack in the trailer is pretty cool. Would you be able to tell us how you chose that music?
Yeah, so I can't really take any credit for it because Luke Thomas, who did the music, he composed it all from scratch. So we've been working together for quite a while, and he's just brilliant. I'm always constantly in awe of his talent. And so it's all original music that we sort of looked at the character personalities and what we wanted to the game to feel like in terms of tone, and then Luke went away and came up with this incredible music, and so it's all down to him, and I'm really pleased with the music. I think it really fits the tone of the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can we talk a little bit about any plans for post-launch content? Will there be any DLCs?
There's nothing planned at the moment, but I'd never rule it out. There's definitely things I wanted to do, during development that I didn't have time to do or didn't have a chance to explore. So I've got some ideas, but we'll see how things go. I mean, if I start getting into it and feel like there's enough ideas to create some DLC, I'd be keen to do it.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, there's going to be some hardcore gamers out there who do love a bit of a challenge. What can players expect in terms of difficulty options with Warborn?
I mean, there's 3 difficulty settings. You can change it to easy, normal, or hard. And hard mode is quite tough. The AI is very clever and hard. It's sort of unshackled. There's no restrictions on it, and so it will do some more sneaky things. So I think if people want to challenge themselves, they can definitely put it on the hard mode and feel the full brunt of the AI. But likewise, if people want to have a bit more of a casual, chilled approach, they can put it on easy and things are a little bit more relaxed.
So I've kind of like just jumped straight in here with the campaign, really. Like, this is the first opening. Could you give me a bit of a breakdown, like what exactly I'm doing here? Because I'm kind of just running around wildly, with all these giant robots, hopefully doing the right thing and attacking the right people. But maybe you're watching me and thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? He's completely ruining everything. Although that was pretty badass. I just killed 2 of them.
Yeah, you're doing a good job, I think. You made use there of so that particular unit is Luella's personal variable armor, so it's kind of like a hero unit, and you used her area of effect attack, so you took out 2 at once. That's the way to do it.
Amazing.
Yeah, you really want to make use of those special abilities to take out enemies quickly. If you can reduce their numbers, then it makes things a lot easier. Obviously, in this first mission, there's only so many units. We're kind of only showing a little bit here as the intro to the game, but you seem to be getting on okay anyway.
Nice, that's good to hear. It's like this is, I'm going to say pretty straightforward so far, but I can imagine that down the line I'm going to learn more and more and completely mess up. But how long is this game in total? With how many missions are there, and the kind of average length of each one?
So there's just over 40 missions, and they vary in length. I mean, this one's probably not too long, maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
But some of the later levels, they're more complex and the maps are larger, and you have more units, so they can last a lot longer. Maybe half an hour to an hour. So it's hard to gauge exactly because it sort of depends on how comfortable you are with tactics games and how good you are. But I'd say they could be up to 20 hours maybe of campaign if you took your time with it.
Awesome. I mean, tactic games are still a thing that I touch upon every now and then. At the moment, I'm just playing Civ 6 with a few friends for the first time. And needless to say, I am doing very badly in that. When it comes to my tactics, I have none. I just kind of run and gun it. So for people like me, you already talked about the difficulty settings ever so slightly, but I'm finding pretty straightforward. Do you think this is a good game for people who are completely new to tactic games and want to sort of delve into the genre a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was always a thing, when designing the game. I didn't want to make it too inaccessible. I wanted it to be there's enough layers of depth there. If you start getting into it, you can learn a bit more about how these cover works, and there are sort of damage types that affect how much damage you do and stuff. But if you're just jumping in, it's quite easy to play without having to learn too much stuff from the outset. And so I really wanted to make sure that was the case, and that people who maybe aren't always into tactics games or wouldn't consider themselves to be fans of the genre could jump into this and still enjoy themselves, even if they didn't identify themselves as being a tactics or strategy fan. When
it comes to the different variable armors, we already talked about the special one here, which is, I'm going to say her name wrong. I know you've already said it, but somehow I'm going to say her name wrong. It's Luella?
Luella,
is that right?
Yeah.
Luella, yeah. This is her special armor, and then we've got these allied units. How many different kind of units are there in the game, and what how do they vary between each one?
So there are 10 mass-produced units, so they're the ones that are, the common ones, and 10 varieties of those, and then you've got the 4 commanders, and each of those have their own unique personal variable armor, so you've got these 4 unique hero units. And the commanders vary quite a lot in terms of, they've all got some specialization, so and their personal variable armors reflect that. So, for example, Luella, she specializes in long-range warfare, and so she has this long-range rifle, and she's able to, pick these enemies off from far away. But then if you look at sort of like Auriel, she has more of a focus on, like support and repairs. She's very good at like doing field repairs, and her units kind of reflect that. So her variable armor, which is called the Bulwark, that one actually has an ability to repair friendly units, and so that kind of carries across for the 4 commanders. And then the 10 kind of mass-produced units, they vary in terms of the equipment they've got and the skills you can use. So each of the units has 3 skills, and they usually provide some sort of specific helpful use in combat. So an example here would be the Novus you've got, which is the slightly sort of chunkier looking, heavily armoured unit, can inflict a status effect that reduces the defense rating of the enemy. So then they become more susceptible to damage. So it makes them easier to take out for weaker units.
Nice. Sorry, I did a little
You did
fist
it.
pump. While you were saying all
S-rank.
that, I just fist pumped myself, being like, good job, Dean.
You are killing it.
Yeah, you S-ranked it as well. I mean, that's great. Nice work.
Amazing. Thanks. That was. I feel like I could be a pro at these games now. Just after that, we spoke quite a bit now about like the just like units and campaign, but we've not touched upon multiplayer at all. So do you want to tell us what like players can expect in the multiplayer modes?
Yeah, sure. So the multiplayer is online, so you can do 1v1 matches, and there's a facility to either pair up with a random player and do a quick play match. So it'll just jump straight into that with preset settings, or you can create a custom match, and then you can either invite another player, or you can give them your join code, which is just a 6-digit code, and they can pop that in and then join your lobby. And then you can change the map, change your which command you want to play as, and your team color and things like that, and then jump into a match and play a match against each other. And then if you kind of want to take that further, you can also use custom maps in the multiplayer. So there's a map editor included with the game, and you can use those maps in the private matches with your friends.
Nice, yeah. I was reading up on your custom map editor. Where like custom map editors is also another thing that it's kind of like very, very not new to me. A thing that I don't really touch upon that much. Like the most I've done with a custom map editor was Forge in the Halo games. So that's as much as I can offer in terms of knowledge of that. But like, how does a custom map editor work for a strategy game?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because you want to make it easy for players to jump in and use and make it intuitive. And so the other thing was that the map editor that's in the game is actually it's like a smaller version of the one I used to create all of the campaign missions. So I was using this as well, so I wanted to make sure it was easy to use for myself as well as players. And yeah, it's very simple. You basically paint on tiles onto the map, and you have 3 different layers. So you can paint the base layer, which is kind of the terrain, the grass and stuff like that, and then the mid layer is kind of the buildings and mountains and things like that. So you've got detail there. And then the special layer is kind of like structures that are capturable, so things like the bases and the refineries that you capture to increase your strategy points, which are the resource you use to, as you're doing here, actually, you're demonstrating it right now, to bring in more units.
Nice. I mean, all round, like, I enjoy winning, so I like that I'm winning, especially in a strategy game, so that's great. But yeah, it seems like it's a good, easy game to pick up, dive straight into, and like sort of just go through the missions.
What would you say is your favourite part about Warborn?
One of the big things that I really wanted to focus on was making it feel good. I spent a lot of time working on kind of it's a bit of a loose term, but the game feel. So kind of like little animations and little bits of polish to make it feel good. So when, you know, a bit of screen shake or something when you go into a battle, or you know, specific sound effects. And so that's one of the things that I like most is, you know, when you're playing it, I always feel it feels good. It feels satisfying to play, even though it's kind of, it can be a slower paced game at times, but it always feels quite fluid and quite, you know, satisfying.
Definitely. I really love the artwork. I kind of feel jealous that I'm not playing this right now.
You should be. I'm actually having a lot of fun. Yeah, I just like that I can sort of easily figure out what to do here. Like, there isn't like so many just layers upon layers of trying to know how to attack something or move somewhere or something else. It's literally like, okay, click that unit, move there, and then attack with said thing, and then boom, wait turn, and that's it. Like, hopefully, maybe this might inspire something within me to be a bit more adventurous with strategy games.
Hope so.
Who knows?
Maybe. I'll give you. Do you want some tips? Would that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for this mission in particular, I would recommend trying to keep some of your units in the cities, just because when you're in the cities, you'll take less damage. They act as cover, so you're going to take a bit less damage from enemies, and you'll last a bit longer. You see here they're going to gang up on you a bit. So yeah, I'd recommend try and keep a few of them in the cities, and pick them off, you know, from a distance. Particularly with those sniper units, these insight units, they've got a really long range. So yeah, jump into the cities and try and pick them off. They're coming for you now. They've cottoned on to the fact you've come out.
No, like, that's genuinely such a good tip. And I like I said, I told you, I'm bad with tactics. I've already lost a soldier. Like, this is not what I wanted. I'm just gonna hide away and snipe this guy.
There you go. That's it. That's how it's done.
Amazing. Well, thank you for taking some time to chat with us about Warborn. I'm going to say, like, all that's left to do is for you to tell us when it's coming out and on what platforms for players to expect to be able to get it on.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to have a chat about it. And yeah, it's coming out on the 12th of June, so that's this Friday, and it's coming out on Steam, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, so all the platforms.